Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
A special good evening to our newly appointed board president and all of the board members, as well as those in the audience. I'd like to introduce a special student, Mahalia Calvert, who is the daughter of Pastor Maurice and Dr. LaShonda Calvert of Jackson, Mississippi. She is a fifth grader at North Jackson Elementary School. Mahalia is an honor roll student, member of the National Honor Society, and she's also a member of the North Jackson Tiger Cheerleaders. She enjoys helping people, reading, writing, spending time with her Grammy, and she mostly enjoys playing with her dolls. We'll now turn our attention to Miss Mahalia Calvert.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
I don't think we got a bag for her, but you want to go take a picture with her?
The next item on our agenda is the establishment of a quorum. We have 4 board members present and 2 board members on the phone. We have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Oh, so do we have a, words of encouragement?
He's here. Let's see. I sent out a new agenda.
All right, we're backing up. We have words of encouragement from Minister Joshua Dedman. Minister Joshua Dedman is a native of Jackson, Mississippi, is a national organizer for U.S. Labor Against the War, a small nonprofit organization that uses the resources of the American labor movement to advocate for a decrease in military spending and end a capitalistic exploration by military might. Minister Dedman is the son of the late Reverend Wayne Dedman and Laverne William Dedman. He considers his work as an organizer as an extension of his religious convictions and ministry. Minister Dedman was educated in Jackson Public Schools and attended Emma T. Green Elementary, Powell Middle School, and graduated from Murrah High School in 2005, graduating from Tougaloo College and working as a research assistant in the African Studies Department at Brown University. He is fortunate to be a student of the Black liberation struggle in the U.S. and globally. Minister Dedman is a fall 2006 initiate of the Rho Epsilon chapter of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity and a past undergraduate state representative. He was a youth minister at Mount Charity Baptist Church and is currently establishing a ministry of prophetic social justice at Mount Helm Baptist Church. And he's also taken my son across the world a couple of times.
It is my distinct honor and pleasure to establish some words of encouragement for this body, this board, to Superintendent Green, to Ms. Johnson, Dr. Harrison, church members at Mount Helm. Mr. Figures, we are gracious for this invitation. I would like to give just a few words. I got an email from Rosalind that said I need to be about 2 to 3 minutes, and we're Baptist preachers in Mississippi. This is a hard thing to do, contain ourselves to 2 to 3 minutes of space, but I feel like that with 2 to 3 minutes we can be effective. I want to leave these words with you with the backdrop of a story. In 1996, 7, and 8, I was a student at Green Elementary. And I have had quite a few distinguished professors and teachers and have learned a lot. I've sat at the feet of movement scholars, of scholars of social justice, scholars of black thought, and scholars of religion. But the most impactful moment of education in my life happened at Green Elementary, under the auspice, under the tutelage of Mrs. Margaret Holt, a neighborhood teacher. She lives 2 streets over in the Norwood subdivision in Jackson. And she established for a group of young African-American students some grounding and some expectation of our lives. In fact, Superintendent, we can say that she gave an anointing on the lives of students. She grounded us in the concept that we had to know and love ourselves. We had to know our culture. We had to know our people. We had to be grounded in that in order to move and do and have being. And she established that in a mighty way. I remember we had yearly a Black History program. I had an opportunity one year to be Dr. Charles Richard Drew. Some of the good Qs in the building know Dr. Drew, and that was a moment to speak onto my life. Never knew that Dr. Drew at that moment was a Q. We knew that he established the blood bank and blood transfusion, and this was our opportunity that black people contributed these things to the world. So she gave us this level of grounding in ourselves and a level to love ourselves. So in that vein, I would like to leave you with the first word, love. I've been invited to this chamber to give some encouragement, and I encourage you to first do and operate in love. Secondly, I would like to challenge you to be committed. Perseverance and commitment, synonyms, no doubt, have to do with the level of capacity that when this moment gets hard, when the decisions made in this chamber are tense, when moments present its challenge, that we remain committed not to our status, not to our wishes to get social gain, but committed to the responsibility that we have in this chamber to make decisions that connect young people to their ancestry, that connect young people to the opportunity to do and want more for themselves, because wanting more for themselves doesn't just benefit them immediately, but it will benefit generations after them. And then I would like to leave you with the word invocation. Because in this space, we invoke the presence of a higher power. Despite what you wish to call the higher power, how you view the higher power, we invoke the presence of someone higher, of something higher, and we invoke the presence of those who have come before us. I invite you to love, be committed, and remain in this great sense of invocation to do the work for our children and for our people. Thank you. May the Lord bless you.
Nice.
Item 3 on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Madam President, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
The motion has been adopted, has been moved and seconded. How many are in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. See, this takes a while. The fourth item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Green?
Thank you, President Johnson, board members, members of the community, those of you who are joining us and watching live stream. We will begin with our, we've got some announcements via video, and then I've got a few remarks.
JPS registration continues for the 2019-2020 school year. We are encouraging parents to complete registration early to help us determine the logistics of bus routes and teacher and staff placement. Parents or legal guardians can visit their child's school between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. to register for the 2019-2020 school year. Please arrive by 2:45 p.m. to complete the registration process. Enrollment Services, which is located at 1017 Robinson Street, will also be open for registration Saturday, August 3rd from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. For a complete list of documents needed, or if you have any questions, call the Office of Enrollment Services at 601-960-8852 or visit our website at www.jackson.k12.ms.us. Jackson Public Schools revealed its new logo in conjunction with the unveiling of the district's 5-year strategic plan during events held Thursday, July 18th. JPS high school students expressed their creativity and collaboration to come up with a unifying new brand. The final design is a graphic representation of our core values of equity, excellence, a growth mindset, relationships, relevance, and positive and respectful culture. It is part of our rebranding effort to raise awareness about our strategic plan while adding a new, refreshing identity to Jackson Public Schools. The Jackson Public School District Summer Teachers Institute continues until July 31st. Hosted by our new Office of Teaching and Learning, it began July 29th at the Jackson Hilton on County Line Road. Pre-K through 12th graders are exploring many facets of integrating instructional materials and professional learning for equitable student results. All teachers who are currently employed by the district or who have a contract for the 2019-2020 school year are eligible to attend. For the latest information on Jackson Public Schools, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, visit our website and YouTube channel.
In addition to those announcements, just wanted to share a few other comments. First, we have several thank yous just to make regarding our back to school drives, supply drives that have occurred over the past week or so. We'd like to thank the Women for Progress, Kroger's on Interstate 55, the Walmart on Highway 18, and the entire Jackson community for supporting our scholars and teachers with donations at our Stuff the Bus school supply drive this past weekend. Really successful. Lots of wonderful donations made. In addition, we want to give a huge thanks to our partners in this work, the City of Jackson, for the annual school supply drive that was held at the Convention Center. It was a wonderful event, and we're very thankful to the city and to all of the vendors and the partners and sponsors, all of those folks who came out and provided supplies to students, lots of resourcing to parents and families. It was just a wonderful event. In addition, this past Saturday, we were pretty busy this past Saturday, AARP held its back to school bash at Kirksey Middle School, and so there we were able to provide resources to families and just celebrate this time, this wonderful time, as we prepare our young people to return to school, as we prepare our schools and our teachers and school leaders and all of JPS and educators across the country are preparing to welcome young people back. In addition, In addition, just wanted to remind, as you saw in the video there, want to remind everyone that our registration continues. Very excited to share that we are, as of today, we're at 12,500 students enrolled or registered in our schools, and that's compared to 8,792 this time last year. So we believe that our efforts to begin registration earlier, to provide some extended periods, extended time for registration on Thursdays, as well as the Saturday events. And you see yet another Saturday event that we'll hold this coming Saturday, the 3rd, 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. It'll be held at our enrollment services, which is located 1017 Robinson Street. We'll be holding registration again this Saturday. We're just excited that the numbers are up. As we've said before, it's really important for our students to be registered in advance so that we can plan accordingly. Want to make sure that we've got the resourcing, the staffing, the materials, the chairs, desks, all of those things, things that folks who aren't helping us to set up classrooms might not consider, but it's really important that we have the numbers in advance so that we can prepare for our students so that everyone has a smooth first day of school. In addition, it's just really important that we've got our bus routes set and that we've got the staffing, appropriate staffing for that. So again, want to celebrate the numbers. We're excited that we're ahead of where we were last year this time, but also just want to ensure that our parents continue to see the need to get students registered. Also want to take this moment just to shout out our enrollment services team, which is led by Dr. Sherrard Hollins. They've done just an amazing job of resetting expectations this year, continuing to train new staff in the registration process, helping and working with our communications team to get the word out there about registration, and so excited about that. Last point that I'll make with regard to registration is that parents need to, in addition to the documentation required for registration, parents need to bring updated certification of immunization, and that's the Form 121. The students entering 7th grade must also show proof of having received the Tdap vaccine as required by the state health department. Those vaccines can be administered either at your personal pediatrician or family doctor or at the health department. Also, we want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Williams, who's the head of our transportation team, and to all of our bus drivers and the entire team that's working to prepare transportation for this coming year. The postcards with bus assignments have been mailed out to students that have been registered. And so if parents and families have not received those blue cards, please, 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 we ask that you reach out, and if you have not registered, that would be the reason. Want to make sure that you get registered so that we can ensure that our bus routes include you and include your students, and so that there are no snafus in the first day of school. Our bus drivers continue their work of getting trained over the summer, retrained as appropriate, as well as learning their new routes. Teacher staffing. We're very, very pleased to share that, as some of you know, that the Mississippi Department of Education approved a one-time only extension for teachers to meet the licensing requirements. This temporary rule will give our district the time that we need to coach our teachers and to help them to meet the certification requirements. It also provides substantial support to our goal to place a certified teacher, highly qualified and very capable and caring teacher in each and every one of our classrooms. We appreciate that the Mississippi Department of Education has recognized the urgency of addressing our critical teacher shortage needs in JPS and around the state. Due to this one-year reprieve that MDE has granted us, we're excited about it and excited for what it will mean for us and helping us to decrease the number of vacancies. It's also created for us a bit of work for our human resources team. We've got a number of candidates who are being processed right now that they've been processing over this past weekend. I'm told that they will be processing over this coming weekend because they're committed to getting our teachers in place. At this point, I want to ask Ms. Sandra Lyons, as well as Mr. Knowles to stand, Dr. Knowles to stand to be recognized. I want to thank them for the work that they're doing, as well as their teams. All of those folks who are spending their late evenings and working on weekends to process our teacher candidates. It's not enough just to find capable and willing folks. We also have to do the paperwork. We've got to process them accordingly and according to law, and so there's lots of behind the scenes work that's being done. Thank you to the team. We appreciate you for your efforts, and we're excited that we're knocking down those numbers. From 547 vacancies, which is where we started earlier in the summer, we're down to 203, and that's today. That's again noting that we've got many more that we're processing daily and we'll be processing over the weekend. So we're well on our way to reaching our goal of having a certified, highly capable, highly caring teacher in every one of our classrooms. And so this is definitely worth celebration. Amen? All right, we're excited about that. We're not where we want to be, but we're so much closer to that point than where we started. The team is working aggressively to get us there. I want to talk for just a moment about professional development. Last week, we welcomed our school leaders and many of our central office leaders, pulled them together over at Cardozo Middle School for our second Leadership Institute of this summer. We focused a great deal on time management, but as well prioritization and ensuring that we have the strategies and tools and protocols in place just to help us to keep our eyes on the prize, to remain focused on the main thing and not allow the urgent things, as important as those are, to take over and get us off course. As I said, our school leaders and district leaders were together last week. We also welcomed our new teachers for an orientation this past Friday. And so welcomed them with open arms and showed them love and started to bring them into the fold. And then again, this week, many of our teachers are together for a Teachers Summer Institute. And we have teachers yesterday, today, and again tomorrow over at the Hilton on County Line. We're shutting that place down. It is JPS adjacent right now. JPS has taken over the Hilton, where our teachers the energy in the room it's amazing. The energy of our teachers, our new teachers coming in, the teachers who are returning, just lots of excitement about the new year, excitement as they're learning and digging into the new curriculum. Our teachers are showing up as professionals and demonstrating why we are and will be the top-rated district in this state. I'm just so full of pride for what our teachers are demonstrating over at the Hilton. And in that vein, I want to ask Dr. Kimyana Burke to stand and to be recognized. She and her team are doing an amazing job of pulling together the professional development over this summer. It was lots of work, a huge lift for them, but they've done it and they're doing it with great finesse, and I'm just very proud of that work and excited that our teachers are coming back into this new school year with that level of professionalism. We're treating them as the professionals that they are, and they're responding in kind. Makes me very proud. Just want to remind everyone, all of our teachers, they know all too well, but our teachers are returning to school on the 2nd, Friday the 2nd, this Friday. And so if you know a teacher, if you're related to a teacher, married to a teacher, if you've got a teacher who's a son or a daughter, show them love, because they're going to need a little bit of coffee as they adjust start to adjust their lives for the start of school. But teachers are coming back this Friday, so we're welcoming them back into the schools. They'll be prepping their rooms and working as school teams in professional development, but also developing plans for the culture and engaging parents, all of those things that our teachers do to ensure that our young people have an amazing experience in school. As well, speaking of students, our students, kind of hard when we're all driving. Our students come back to school Wednesday the 7th. And so we need every student, every JPS student in school on time Wednesday morning. It is so important that all of our students start with us on time on day one. Why? Because cultures are being built, relationships are being built, we're setting expectations, we're creating the family, the team, and when students miss out, they miss out. So we want to ensure that all of our parents who are getting students ready, that they make sure that the students are registered in advance and that they show up on Wednesday, August the 7th. We'll be there with open arms, ready to welcome them and to get started with this new school year. With that, one last thing. I do want to note that as the new school year as we start the new school year, there are always questions and sometimes there are issues and things that parents or community members might have that they want to share with the superintendent. We have a superintendent's hotline that will be available starting Wednesday the 7th. It'll be available Wednesday the 7th and on Thursday the 8th. This hotline, the hours for the hotline are 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. The dedicated phone line, 601-960-2781. 601-960-2781. We'll be able to assist with questions about transportation, about registration, and those are typically the questions that we get on day one. Perhaps some questions about uniforms and that sort of thing, but many questions that parents will have, those can be answered at the school, but if there's something district-wide or an issue or concern that parents or community members want to share with us on the superintendent's hotline, again, that number is 601-960-2781. And with that, board members, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public participation. We do have Senator Horn and Dr. Quinn with the presentation on the early preventive screening and diagnostic testing program.
First of all, we want to thank you all for the opportunity to come before you all in regards to our Children's Health Initiative. I'm passing around a folder with information on our initiative, and basically the whole purpose of our initiative is to decrease the learning barriers that a lot of our students experience that can interfere with their ability to learn the material and get the education that they deserve. For the last 2 years, we've been working with Murrah High School and Callaway High School, and we've been having an essay contest. And basically, this is part of our initiative where the students are asked to write an essay of 300 words or more why physical exams are important. This is part of our effort to increase awareness, not just for the community, but for the actual students, because we feel if they articulate in the form of an essay, then it causes them to think about physicals and it makes them more health-minded going into their adult careers. The essays are graded by Jackson State University professors, which gives an opportunity for Jackson State to become more familiar with the JPS students. And I'm working with Jackson State to form scholarships for the winners. Now, the good news is we met with United Healthcare, who are our sponsors, because the winners of the contest get monetary gift cards, Visa gift cards for $300, $200, and $100 for first, second, and third place, which comes to $600 per school. In our meeting with United Healthcare leadership, we were told that we will now get a $6,000 budget, which means we can now do 10 schools. So we're asking that we be considered to enter more schools into our essay contest because, as I said in the past, we only had Murrah and Callaway High School. And in addition to that, the last 2 years we addressed the back to school day, which will be this Sunday. When the parents came out, we told them about the contest and just told them about our initiative and the importance of children getting physicals. But in addition to that, we've also met with leadership with the Department of Medicaid, and they're going to give us resources in the form of manpower and information. So when we address the parents on the back to school night, we'll have individuals there that can help the parents who want to get their children signed up for health insurance. There'll be information available. And in addition to that, we're also asking that we be considered to have a school designated where we can have a clinic for one of the schools in the JPS system that does not currently have a clinic. And lastly, I have to talk very quickly because I have Senator Horn and Representative Bell. There's been talk about the possibility or the potential of a medical director for the district. And I would love to put my name into consideration because I would love to be the medical director for Jackson Public Schools if that position is decided to be committed to the district, and I would very much appreciate to be considered. Thank you very much, and I'm going to turn it over to Representative Bell.
Thank you, Dr. Quinn. Thank you, and it's a joy to stand here before you to support Dr. Quinn's initiative. And I'm going to be very brief. One of the reasons why I support Dr. Quinn, because at one point in my life, as a third grader at Richard Wright Elementary School in Chicago, Illinois, I sat in the back of the room and I couldn't see. But I didn't realize that I couldn't see. I didn't realize that I needed glasses. And it was one day that we had a physical, a doctor to come to our school and check my eyes, an eye doctor to check my eyes. And he sent a note home to my mother and said, hey, this kid needs glasses, your son needs glasses. And that turned my entire third grade career around. Because as I thought what I was seeing was natural, was not natural. I needed help, but I was too afraid to say, hey, I need help. And I know for a fact within JPS, we have students that are in similar situations like I was at one time. So anything that we can do to help our children increase their test scores, and increase their attendance in school, increase their overall academic performance and their lifestyle for their future lifestyle, I am 100% in support of it. And I hope that JPS and the board is in support of it as well. And I turn it over to Senator Horn.
Good evening. It's great to be before this great board and to see trustees, figures, Luckett, Hilliard, Madam President, Attorney Johnson, and Superintendent Green to address you on what I think is a very, very critical issue. You talk about the 5 core values, and I would assume, I haven't seen the core values yet, but I would assume that the overall well-being of children is part of the core values. It's not just about educating them and graduating them, but it's ensuring that we take their well-being to a whole nother level. I heard the discussions earlier about immunizations and inoculations and vaccinations. That's generally for elementary kids along with the 7th graders. But guess what? We have about 12,000 students in junior high and high school in JPS. And very few of them, unless they're participating in athletics, get physicals, get health screenings. And the issue is that about 60% of those young men and women are already on the CHIP and Medicaid program. The cost for them is absolutely free. The cost, the additional 40%, about 4,700 students. Most of them would probably qualify for CHIP or Medicaid. Their family just haven't signed them up. So what we're saying is we need to make sure that these adolescents, these 12 to 18-year-olds, get health screenings. Medicaid is for it. The Pediatric Association is for it. the State Medical Association is for, because they know, number one, it's going to help save lives and help conditions that are serious be headed off before they really become serious. And it also is going to save a lot of money. So that's why Medicaid, the managed care providers, and all of them are for it. Representative Bell and I have been involved with Dr. Quinn for the last couple of years trying to promote this. We've had him down to the legislature trying to talk about getting greater awareness of legislators and the general public and policymakers to the fact that we need to get these kids health screenings. And we hope that this Board of Trustees will see it in their hearts and mind and their reasoning that we need to get behind this in Jackson Public Schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Horn and Representative Bell and Dr. Quinn. Do we have any other public participants? Okay, seeing that we have no more, we are at information items only. Ms. Thomas? Ms. Amanda Thomas, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Board President, Board members, Superintendent Green, and members of the audience. I present to you for information items, review of a memorandum of agreement between the Jackson Public School District and the University of Mississippi Medical Center. The purpose of this agreement is to continue the established and guided working relationship between the University of Mississippi Medical Center and the Jackson Public School District. We've had this relationship for 20 years. Johnson Elementary has had the partnership for 20 years, Galloway Elementary for 4 years, and Lanier for 2 years. I do have some data to share this evening. With Lanier High School, Health Occupation Students of America, HOSA chapter has been established at Lanier High School. There have been UMMC school tours. There have been experimental learning events as well, in which the Lanier High School students taught hand washing to Mary C. Jones and Midtown Head Start centers. Scholars study at the UMMC laboratory as well. At Lanier High School, there were 234 total patient visits, 57 referrals, free sport physicals of 43. Staff at Lanier screened 71 students at Brinkley Middle School for free as well. At Johnson Elementary, there were 987 total patient visits, 97 well child screenings. Of the consent forms sent home, 100% of them were returned. And there were 27 referrals to medical doctors. Also at Galloway and Johnson, I thought it was noteworthy that every child was screened in August for hearing, vision, height, weight, blood pressure, oral health, and scoliosis screening was done for the fourth grade and fifth grade girls. There was also depression screening performed on all fourth and fifth graders, and daily blood sugar monitoring on diabetic children at Johnson Elementary was conducted. And they also give daily medications to children who are in need. And this really assists our nurses from Jackson Public Schools to not have to do those particular services. At Galloway, there were 568 patient visits, 47 well child screening, 82 consent forms sent, and 89% were returned, and there were 18 medical doctor referrals. And there are just a number of other items that they did conduct while they were in the schools this previous year.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Any questions, board members? Seeing that we have no questions, we'll move on to the next information item. Thank you. Which is a review of the proposed revised 2019-2020 academic calendar.
Thank you, President Johnson, Dr. Green, members of the board. I present to you item B for your information only, a review of the proposed revised 2019-2020 academic calendar. Board members, several months ago, this board approved the academic calendar for the 1920 school year. And what that included was our first parent-teacher conference day, which was originally designated for October 7th, Monday, October 7th, 2019. After the staff and administration has done a review of the first term ending, it was determined that the administration would like to recommend to the board a revised calendar so that that parent-teacher conference date would actually be moved from October 7th, Monday, October 7th, to Monday, October 21st. That will give teachers and administrators a chance to have reviewed the first term data, prepare report cards for students, so that when parents come in, they will be able to get a full complement of where their students are at the first term. So this is being presented to you tonight for your information only. But again, the only date that the calendar is that we're requesting to be changed would be the parent-teacher conference day, which again would be from Monday, October 7th to Monday, October 21st, 2019.
Board members, are there any questions? Thank you, Ms. Miller. We'll move on to the next information item.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I would like to also present to you, for your information only, the review of the agreement between Jackson Public Schools and Ask for More Arts of Jackson. This is a more than almost 30-year partnership between Jackson Public Schools and either Ask for More Arts or Ask for More Arts Jackson to provide support for our students in the arts education program. This is a partnership that we have enjoyed specifically in the linear feeder pattern, but as you see in your board material, it's being expanded to include several additional schools for consideration for next year. They have supported our students, and I think many of you have attended the students' arts programs and events, and so this is a great partnership and has been a really positive one for our students, our administrators, and our teachers to teach how to infuse arts not only as a class, but infuse arts all throughout their educational opportunities. This is being presented for your information. It is a budgeted item. The $106,000 budget is being presented. I would like to note that you do see in the proposed budget the expense for last year, or the previous fiscal year, was $131,300, but that was supported with additional dollars that Ask for More Arts Jackson raised. So the budget is the same for us. It's $106,000. But this is also being presented for your information only tonight, and upon approval, we will move forward with approval at the next board meeting.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing that there are no questions, thank you, Ms. Miller.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Murray to review the Memorandum of Understanding between Jackson Public Schools and National Geographic.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Green, members of the board. The administration presents the Memorandum of Understanding between the Jackson Public Schools and the National Geographic Society for information only. The National Geographic Society is a nonprofit scientific educational organization that is interested in a variety of subjects to include geography, archaeology, and natural science. They provide many resources online. However, recently they've started collaborating with school systems. JPS is one of 2 districts nationally that have participated in this collaborative partnership. This approval is necessary to clarify the expectations of both organizations. Though the program is in its infancy, we don't have much data, but just a few brief points. We kicked off in December at Blackburn Middle School. To date, in January, we trained 33 social studies teachers at the middle school level. They provided 8 giant floor mats for teacher use. 3 Mississippi teachers have used the mats to this at this point in time. The maps are available in our Teacher Resource Center. They've also agreed to provide $10,000 in grant funds to our Environmental Learning Center. They've provided all expense paid trips for our teachers, and they've conducted 4 PDs. Actually, they're conducting as we speak through our summer leadership, our Summer Teacher Institute. They're conducting 4 PD sessions. So we ask for your, well, this is being brought to you for information on.
Thank you, Dr. Murray. Are there any questions? There being no questions, we will move on to the next information item, which is a review, the memorandum of understanding with the Hines Community College and Jackson Public Schools, and that is Dr. Marshall Thomas.
Good evening. The administration presents for information the memorandum of understanding with Hines Community College and Jackson Public Schools to offer online dual credit and dual enrollment courses for the 2019-2020 school year. Currently, we've had the online dual credit courses for 6 years, and over the past 6 years, we've had 226 students to complete the program. Any questions?
Are there any questions, board members?
Is this program at all high schools?
Yes, all 7 high schools have the opportunity to participate.
Any other questions? No other questions, and we can move on to the next item.
Okay. The administration brings for information the approval of the MOA with Hines Community College and Jackson Public Schools to offer dual credit career and technical education courses for the 2019-2020 school year. Currently, this is currently we've had this program for a total of 6 years, and we've had 140 students to complete this particular pathway. And this particular program provides pathways leading to career and technical post-secondary credits, whereas the previous program provides for post-secondary academic credits.
Could you repeat that?
Yes. So for the career and technical program, the students have an opportunity to earn post-secondary credits in career and tech ed, versus the first program provides students with post-secondary credits, and they're just academic credits.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions? There are no questions, so we can move to the next item.
Okay. The administration is presenting for information the approval of the MOU between Jobs for Mississippi Graduates and the Jackson Public School District. The goal of JMG is to provide school-to-work training for selected students at all 7 high schools, including the alternative school and our REAP Center. And the goal is to provide opportunities for students to stay in school, graduate high school, and to be prepared for college or the workforce. And we've had this partnership with JMG for 19 years, and they've served a total of 4,496 students.
Thank you. Are there any questions, board members?
Ms. Johnson, just one comment. I really appreciated the data that was shared around this program, particularly around the number of students who went through the program and who graduated. It's pretty clear that it's a very effective dropout prevention program. So just thank you for pulling those data together.
You're welcome.
If there are no questions, then we'll move on to the next item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great evening to Ms. Johnson and Board of Trustees and Dr. Green. The first item for review this evening that I have is the Elevation Program for EL students. What this program will do is that, as required by federal law, for all English learners, we're required to have language service plans. This will allow us to electronically house these plans versus keeping them in paper, and it allows accessibility for schools throughout the district. If a child transfer, they have real-time access to the language service plan, and they will be able to begin services according to that plan once that child transfers to that school. So it eliminates so much paper, but it allows us to retain records of our EL students.
Board members, are there any questions? Doesn't look like there's any questions, Dr. Merritt, so you're up again.
Okay, for information only is the terms of services with the Quavar Music Program. As indicated in the executive summary, we have not had an adoption in elementary music in probably 12 years. And so this is a standards-based program to be used for students. It comes and it includes educational resources that teachers can use for pre-K through 5th grade students, and it's very interactive and engaging. One of the things that we are committed to doing, being that this is an online program, is that we will, those schools that do not have a smart panel or some technology piece to implement the program, we are committed to purchasing that as well. But this is a very good standards-based program that houses resources for our music teachers that we feel will be an innovative way of teaching music.
Thank you. Are there any questions, board members? There are no questions. Dr. Merritt, you can continue.
Okay, the next item for information only is the BEST program, which is a behavior and emotional screening system. We are very proud to present this item in that we have not had anything in place in the district at this time. We will collaborate with the Office of Climate and Wellness, Ms. Thomas, as we administer this inventory to students from grades pre-K through 12th grade. And it will allow us to determine our behavior and the behavior and emotional health of students. Based on the inventory and what populates in the assessment, we will, students will be placed on a tier if needed, and we'll be able to serve them better based on the information that populates from the screener. So I present this information to you as well as information only.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions? Seeing that there are no questions, we can move on to your last item.
The last item that I have before you is the data dashboard from school status, which includes is a dashboard that houses our academic behavior, course performance data, as well as attendance data. There's a parent communication system in this that we use, as well as a principal evaluation system that's included in this. This is something that has, in terms of analyzing state data, it has taken, where principals used to do this by hand, this system automatically analyzes it for them. Of course, they are responsible for reviewing it for accuracy, but it is very comprehensive in nature and very beneficial and very useful for administrators.
Board members, are there any questions?
Before you go on, how long have we had this in place? We'd be going into year
3, if I'm not mistaken. Initially, we just had the component that analyzed the data. Since we have added the communication piece on last year, as well as the teacher evaluation piece as well.
Thank you, Dr. Merritt.
Also, I do want to indicate, based on when I visited with Dr. Green regarding this item, this is something that we will like to request more than a 1-year contract with, based on the information that it houses. And so that will be included in the recommendation for the upcoming board meeting.
Oh, what term are you considering?
1 year with up to a 3-year renewal, and Attorney Shepard helped me with framing that language.
I think the contract suggests or contemplates a 3-year.
3-year contract. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The next item is the review of the agreement between Jackson Public School District and the Hinds County Human Resource Agency. Ms. Bingham?
Good evening.
Good
evening. Board members,
Good
Board
evening.
President, and Dr. Green. The Office of Exceptional Education Services is presenting the collaborative agreement between Hinds County Resource Agency, Head Start, and the Jackson Public School District. The purpose of this agreement is to define the collaboration roles and responsibilities, and also the services that will be provided through Jackson Public Schools. This is a renewal of this agreement. Last year, we evaluated 80 students between the age of 3 to 5 that attended 5 of the centers in Jackson. 62 of those students qualified for services. 32 of those students will remain at Head Start to receive their services because they were the age of 3. And then 30 of those will enter into our JPS schools where the services will continue.
Thank you, Ms. Bingham. Are there any questions, board members? There are no questions, so Ms. Bingham, you can continue with the next item.
The next item is for information only, is the review of the collaborative agreement between Jackson Public Schools and CARES Schools. CARES is a private facility recognized by MDE as an approved educable child placement. Currently, we have 5 students that attend CARES. 4 of those students will return. 1 is scheduled for a meeting next week to discuss transitioning back to JPS. Monthly, we meet with CARES treatment plan. We have a treatment plan meeting with CARES where we discuss the progress of the student as well as ensuring that educational instruction is occurring so that the student will meet their IEP objectives.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions? Seeing that there are no questions on this item, Ms. Bingham, you can continue to the next item.
The next one we have is a collaborative agreement between Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services and the Jackson Public School District. This agreement is a transition partnership program that assists students with disabilities to obtain post-secondary education and post-secondary meaningful employment. The students are referred to the Office of Vocational Rehab through our transition assistance, and they have to be approved and also parent permission to work with these students. Last year, we had a total of 22 students that were approved from OVR, which is the Office of Vocational Rehab, as well as parents gave us permission to work with these students. 22 students were in the program. 10 are currently employed. 15 received interviews.
Those that receive interviews, do they have an opportunity to resit?
Yes, they can. We continue, if they didn't get selected for that employment opportunity, then we will apply for another one.
Okay.
Are there any other questions, board members? Seeing that there are none, Ms. Bingham, you can continue to the next item.
Okay. The next item, this is a joint, it should also read with Ms. Amanda Thomas, but this is a joint agreement with Marion Counseling Services. The administration is presenting to the board for review of the agreement between Jackson Public Schools and Marion Counseling Services. The consultant will continue to deliver mental health services to the district middle school and high school students, as well as provide on-site day treatment services for elementary students with disabilities. This is a renewal of a contract that we use, but this year, as far as exceptional education, we're only focusing on our elementary students. Last year we had up to 8 students that were in the day treatment program. Out of the 8, 4 transitioned back to their home school, and 3 will return, and 1 was referred to an outside placement after being in the program, and the data determined that a more restrictive environment was necessary for that student.
Board members, are there any questions? Seeing that there are no questions, Ms. Bingham, you can go on to your last item.
Our last item is the Office of Exceptional Education Services presents for informational review the collaborative agreement between Jackson Public Schools and Mill Creek. This is another educable child placement facility for students with exceptional education services. We currently have 6 students at this facility, and all 6 will return for next school year. With the 2 educable child facility that we use, we are reimbursed. The district is responsible for the first $4,984, and the MDE will reimburse the district $12,462.43 as state funds are available. So with those 2 facilities, Mill Creek and CARES, we do receive reimbursement.
Board members, are there any questions? Thank you.
Before you move on, Ms. Bingham, can you just clarify for everyone any difference in services between the 2?
Yes. With CARES, their program will focus on more of our students with that have been ruled eligible with autism. So they focus on more of the autism spectrum disorder, and Mill Creek focuses on more with our students that have EMD or emotional disabilities as well as intellectual disabilities. So their services, they service a different population.
Does this service accommodate all students who
Well,
are autistic?
Not all students, because we're able to address some of the students' needs in the district. So it's the way it works is a referral process from the IEP committee or the Individual Education Program Committee. Once we have tried the continuum of services within the district and when we're not able to meet that child's need, then that's when we look to seek out outside facilities.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions, board members?
Yes, Ms. Johnson. This question may be for Dr. Green. Thank you, Ms. Bingham, for all the information on these services. I'm wondering if there would be an opportunity for the board, maybe in a retreat setting or a work session, to get an overview of how all the different programs work to serve students with special needs, and as part of that briefing, broaden our understanding around, where are our strengths, where are our challenges, how does this fit into the new strategic plan. I'm wondering if we can dig more deeply into this group of students within the district, again, to understand how all these pieces fit together, and also get an understanding of where we need to make additional investments.
Yes, sir. Whether it's and we can talk about whether you want it at the retreat or in a board meeting or both. We're happy to develop a presentation to more clearly articulate all of the resources that we have internally, the external partnerships, and to your point, any opportunities for beefing up our programming and services to students. And special services. We're likely going to do something like that at the next board meeting with regard to health, and so kind of a similar approach we can certainly take with the exceptional education services. And at some point, we'll likely, I don't want to overpromise, but we should be bringing back services around behavior as well. And so that's something that Ms. Thomas will likely support us in bringing back that information.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing that there are none, thank you, Ms. Bingham.
Thank you.
The last thing on the information-only agenda is a review of the request to increase hourly rates for Attorney Turner, our board attorney. She could not be here tonight, but she did submit her contract and other information, and we've all had time to review that. Are there any questions, board members? Seeing that there are no other questions, we can move on to item number 7, information action items. Ms. Miller, well, there you are.
Here I am. Thank you again. Board members, for your information and action, I present to you the financial report for the month ended May 31st, 2019. Again, this is our 11th month of the year, so this is, we're still closing as far as June is concerned, but for May of 2019, I'd like to call your attention just to a few items. In the statement of fund balance, we take a look, especially in the months of May and June, as to where we are as far as fund balance is concerned. At May 31st of 2019, we had an ending fund balance of in district maintenance of $23.4 million. At this time last year, at May 31st of 18, we had a fund balance at district maintenance of $25.8 million. What that signals, though, is that, of course, we had a larger budget at that time, so we were significantly higher, I think, than we were. But I am signal that this is not really a signal to us that we have any issues. More than likely, we just had not finished paying out bills because, of course, this is the end of the year, so we're catching up. One of the bigger items is that we would reflect on is the budget status report, which is also included for your review. This is where we really like to focus on where we are as far as our collections and our expenditures are concerned, primarily in district maintenance, which is, of course, one of our largest budgets. At this time, at May 31st, we had received about 90% of our collections and revenue, and we were exactly the same point at this time last year, which is a good sign. The corresponding expenditure percentage, though, is at this point, May 31st of 2019, we're about 89% of our budget expended, which is still good. As long as we are below our revenue collections, we're still in a good place. Compared to last year, at this point, it was also at about 86%. Again, still, not as significant, but still in a very good place of where we think we are going to be. Of course, no signals that we have any concerns going into the close of this year. The other big indicator for us is our report of cash flow and district maintenance, which is the last page of your financial report. As you can see, in May of 2019, we had a cash balance of about $11.35 million. Last year at this same time, it was 11.3. So we're still trending in the right direction. We have a projected ending cash balance of June 30 of $12.8 million, which is about where we were last year. So again, this is being presented for your information action. We are, as I said, closing out the fiscal year. We're running our last checks on tomorrow, and so we'll be able to start getting closer to closing out the year to finish out to see exactly where we are. I see no concerns at this point for anything that should surprise us for closing out of June of 2019.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Board members, are there any questions?
Yes, this is Ed again. Ms. Miller, you mentioned the lower fund balance this year relative to last year, but also mentioned that the overall budget is smaller. Are the ratios that we track around the fund balance, how do those ratios look this year relative to the ratios last year?
They're about the same. We're trending on fund balance about 4% lower, but again, that was at May. Where we really focus on fund balance, of course, as you all have learned in all of your board training, is June 30. That is really where we look to make sure that we are in a very positive position, and that's where we start making our big comparisons as far as where we were this year compared to where we are in previous years. We are actually very much on track of where we have been for the last probably 4 years as far as fund balance, and actually cash balance is concerned as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions, board members? Is there a motion to approve the monthly financial report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Aye.
The next item is the consent agenda finance. Board members, we have 4 items. Do we want to take all 4 items, or do we want to pull any of the items for questions? Seeing that no items, are we missing something, Ms. Roslin? No? Seeing that no items are going to need to be pulled, we will take the consent agenda items for finance for approval. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda items finance A through D as presented.
Second.
Second.
The motion has been, there's a motion and it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda items general. We have 7 items on the consent agenda item general. Are there any things that the board members want to pull for questions? If not, we will take the consent. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items general?
Madam President, I move that we approve consent agenda items general A through G as presented.
Second.
There's a motion. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries and approves the consent agenda items general. We've got consent agenda items personnel. Ms. Lyons?
Good evening.
Evening.
To Dr. Green, Board President Johnson, members of the board, on behalf of the administration, I ask for the approval of staff personnel matters as listed in board material.
Board members, are there any questions in regards to the approval of the staff personnel matters?
Hi, Attorney Johnson. This is Jean Heston. I don't have questions, but I'm just excited to see our staff members who are achieving higher education and moving up in their credentialing. That's such a joy to see that, and I want to give all of those folks a shout out.
Thank you, Dr. Harrison. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the staff personnel matters?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
There is a motion, it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Is there any other business? There is no other business. Is there consideration to hold an executive session? There is no consideration to hold an executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.